Good afternoon and welcome to the McKeer Telford Centre Hotel for continued live coverage of Event 5 of the 2019 EPA Pool Tour. Up next, the Premier League match between Eddie Barker and Ben Flack. So it's the culmination of the season's competition. It's been a round robin all season. The top 8 players across the course of the season in the Premier League have qualified for the grand finals, which are being held at this final event. Best of 15 this match. Three preliminary rounds to this grand final, and then the top 4 players will be going through to the semi-final and final tomorrow morning. It's been a really high standard all season in this tournament. Top players on the tour qualify for the Premier League, and the top players in the Premier League qualify for this grand final, so this really has got us down to the business end of things. Two very experienced players in Eddie Barker and Ben Flack, both been around on the tour for a number of years. So just supposed to get through to the yellow nearest the pocket, so a good opportunity this for Eddie to get things underway in the first frame. Both of these two are very prolific scorers once they get in amongst the balls. Going to see some quick fire clearances, you'd imagine. Bad cannon there. Anything bar knocking the red in was going to be okay. You just needed to hold the white somewhere in that corner for this yellow across the table. So, all looking very routine so far. This is a slightly tighter angle than it looks on this camera, so a little bit to think about. Opting to take the one over the pocket first. If that stays out, that's worked out really well. Would have been disastrous if it had fallen in. As you can see, he wouldn't have had a shot on the black, but that's absolutely perfect now. Just got to negotiate a path for the cue ball still. If you can hold it, it would be easiest just to screw it over to the left-hand side cushion. If it's too thin for that, you might have to run up and down. Yeah, it looks like you can hold it. Helpful nudge on that red, leaves this simple black. So, clearance from the break in the first frame. Eddie Barker 1-0 up. Winner breaks, of course, in the Premier League, unlike the main tour event. Seen a few times this season where one player or the other has rattled off a few frames in a row. momentum's pretty important in any pool match, but all the more so where it's this winner breaks format. It doesn't tend to make so much difference when the standard of the players isn't as good. If they're not clearing up in one visit, slightly academic having winner breaks, but once you get to this level where you might realistically clear a few in a row, one mistake really can be pretty costly. You can be frozen away from the table. The only mistake that Ben Flack's made so far is to lose the lag. It's cost him one frame. It's not immediately going to cost him another though, because that in-off brings him back to the table. Pretty good split as well. If he can get through to the red in the middle of these two yellows, then everything will be open once he takes this. So, good chance to counter-attack. It's going to be pretty devastating from this kind of position. Very consistent potter, Ben Flack. Just gets an opportunity like this. Very rare to let him see it go. Good player under pressure, we've seen many times over the years. He's been a stalwart of the England team, won multiple World Team Championships. We've seen in that period him playing some crucial frames, big trademark celebrations at the end of matches when he's clinched the winning frames. Got a good rhythm around the table. Doesn't rush it, but gets on, no messing around. Does the same thing every time. Desirable kiss on that red. The mistake really was the previous shot where he ended up with a bit too much angle on the last red, the one to the centre. He was hoping just to be pretty much straight on. The fact that he had to run around the back made the shot more difficult. So the opportunity for the clearance has gone begging. He has to content himself with a containing shot. It was a well thought through shot, although he could have done with just rolling an inch or two further forward. Eddie has got a clear shot on a yellow to the top left hand side of the table. No particular merit to potting it, but it was an option to play a safety. Looking in the background, Giuseppe's Imperio playing on the table behind. Got 8 other tables in this main room in addition to the stream table, and then another 7 tables in the room next door, so a total of 16 matches in play at the moment. Good escape that from Ben Flack, using both jaws of the corner pocket to run the white along the cushion. Not a shot you see very often, but a nice shot to play when you get it right. Unfortunately for him, the problem there wasn't really hitting the ball, it was getting any kind of safe leave. It was going to be very difficult not to leave Eddie a go at something, and so it's proved. Very good potter, Eddie Barker, comes from a snooker background originally. Makes it look pretty easy. Long shot, short shot, will come the same to him. Nice delicate touch around the table as well. Really touched that ball, perfect position. So, easy clearance in the end. Looked like it was going to be Ben Flack that hit back in that frame, but the one errant positional shot invited his opponent back to the table. Just a reminder about our schedule for the rest of the day. You're currently watching the Men's Premier League match. Then a little bit of a break after this before 2 quarter-finals and the 2 semi-finals, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And that will be followed by the main turf final at 10 o'clock tonight. Very busy day of pool for all concerned. Those who are still in the latter stages of the term matches are currently either playing Premier League or Challenge matches. So if you do make it to the final, you've basically been on the table all the way through from 9 in the morning until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, depending on how long the final takes. Eddie Barker just adjusting the scoreboard. We're using live scoring now. There's a tablet on each table. Players input their own scores, which makes life easier obviously for the tournament officials. The tournament scores pretty much update themselves, so we have live scoring available on the EPA website. So again, winner breaks format, so it's Eddie Barker. It's just broken there. A split on yellows, bar the fact that he's ended up getting stuck to one of them. Would ideally rather not have had to pot the one that was over the corner, but that was the only one he could get through to. With his key there where he wants to play the yellow off the red. Did always seem like that might be a problem, playing at that pace. The red was never going to go that far away. Always a chance it might end up getting in the way. So just chasing position a little bit here now. Plus of the 2 balls not covering the 2 bottom corner pockets, so he needs to find some way of tightening the frame up. Nicely judged shot. Just clip off the yellow, just get the red right over the pocket. So Eddie deciding to throw the gauntlet down. Slightly risky thing to do from this position, 'cause with the extra shot, Ben can open up the cluster on the left-hand side. It's all going to come down to how well those balls split up. If you can get those open nicely, you should have a good opportunity for a clearance. A real opportunity to cannon into that cluster of either of these first 2 balls. Could potentially leave himself an angle off this one to go into them. quite a significant miss, that. It was imperative in this clearance to keep the extra visit to break out the 2 balls that are tied up next to that yellow. Now that's not available. He's obviously not going to be able to clear up from this position unless he wants to try an adventurous shot breaking into them off the ball over the pocket, which I can't imagine he would want to. So had his calculation worked out okay. Played the deliberate foul at his last visit. Hoped that his opponent wouldn't be able to clear up with the 2 shots, so it proved. Red's still a slight favourite in this frame. They've just got a clear shot at 2 yellows. The other two at the bottom of the table, fairly obstructed by the reds and the black. It's also not helping matters that he's so close to this yellow. Whichever of the 2 shots he takes, he's going to be hampered by a ball. Hand on table, this shot is absolutely unmissable. It's only the fact that he was queuing over the red that led to that. There's no way he would possibly miss that if he'd had a clear shot at it. Which makes it that bit more difficult when you're queuing down on a ball. Particularly played at that pace, because when you're queuing down, if you just get the slightest side spin on, when you're playing it slowly like that, the cue ball's got time to turn over. So he could do with getting somewhere just under the black here to leave himself a choice of a couple of reds. Played that nicely. Pretty much exactly where he'd have wanted to be, maybe an inch or 2 further to the left. Ideally want to put the middle of the 3 reds to the left centre and not cannon into anything. Don't know if he's quite got the angle to do that. If not, maybe running into the yellow that's over that side. No difficulty, of course, with the pot here. It's just making sure you get the cue ball out. Yeah, so he was able to hold it. That made life much easier. Judge shot, just playing with a bit of reverse side just to make sure that once the white hit the right hand side cushion, came up the table towards him. He's taking these balls well, although they were in relatively straightforward positions. There wasn't that much space to work with to keep the white on a pretty tight leash, which is done with aplomb. So his first frame on the board. Eddie Barker now leads by 2 frames to 1. And Flack, having won that 3rd frame, will break off in frame 4. So his first break of the match, he lost the lag and then lost the first 2 frames. So it's Eddie that's broken 3 times so far. So we've got ourselves a game here. Both players look to be in pretty good form so far, both on the scoreboard now. Oh, nicely controlled break and a beautiful split of the balls. No balls anywhere near any other ones. well judged cannon off that first shot. The ball that he's now landed on was the only one that you could imagine him giving him any difficulty. Had a perfect angle to get on it. A little bit hampered by the yellow, but that shouldn't cause too much trouble. Just needs to roll this red in and drop behind the one on the right hand side cushion. That's more awkward though. It's one thing being Chinese snookered when you can reach the ball, but even though he's a pretty tall guy, this is going to be quite tricky to reach. Often you see a player have to resort to using a rest or a spider on a pool table. In this position, no choice whatsoever. And it's turned this from being a very routine shot into one that is actually quite missable, because if he's trying to hold position on the red in the middle of the table, he's going to have to hit this quite slowly. Which doesn't make it any easier to judge. See, intricate operation this, so deciding just to cover that pocket. Well, don't know if he was deciding just to cover that pocket or if that's what he ended up doing. Still in reasonably good shape. All these yellows are quite possible. The only one that doesn't immediately have a pocket is the one just below the right centre, but won't be that difficult to knock out, or failing that, play a double on. Typically in this Premier League you see players play with a lot more freedom than you do in the Tour event, because throughout the course of the season the Premier League is effectively a round robin, so losing one match isn't that costly, so there's perhaps a little bit less pressure, and we've seen people play with a lot more freedom. Slightly different once we get to this grand final, because the players have got 3 rounds to qualify for the semi-finals, so there is a degree of pressure. It's going to be pretty costly. You might get away with one loss in this format, but you've certainly got to win a couple of games out of the 3 that are being played today if you want to qualify for that semi-final. A lot of work's gone into getting to this point, so this is the bit that really counts. Qualification for the Premier League effectively goes back a year. You've got to do well on the turf for a year in order to qualify for the Premier League in the first place. Then you've got to get through the whole season doing well in the round robin stages, even to qualify for this grand final. So the players have certainly worked hard to get to this point. Ben Flack in the background just talking to England teammate Shane Thompson. Shane Thompson, you see Dylan Leary sitting down. He's had a really good season. We've seen lots of him on the stream table. Oh, he's just slightly overdone that. That's a frustrating shot. You'd always cross with yourself when you play that, because you could have left that several inches shorter and it would have been fine. Just a little bit of adrenaline, just caught it a bit firmer than he wanted. These tables are sometimes deceptively fast, the ball just carries on rolling. He's turned what was such a routine position into a far more difficult one now. felt that yellow did go through to the middle, but very difficult to judge when you're as close to the ball as that. So a bit of a let off for Ben, invited back to the table with 3 balls in nice open positions. So, 4 frames in the books. Players are going to be tied at 2 apiece after Ben pots this black. Just joining us, you're watching live coverage of Event 5 of the 2019 EPA Pool Tour. This is the Men's Premier League match between Eddie Barker and Ben Flack. It's Ben Flack who won the last frame, so we'll be breaking off in this frame 5. Well, the players racked their own balls, so you can't really have any complaints, but I think the problem there was that the balls weren't racked up properly. They hit them okay, but nothing really moved. Wry smile there as he looks on at the cluster of balls in the middle of the table. It's quite hard to know where to start from this position. It's not actually that much, even by way of a pot ready to go after, but even if there was such a cluster of balls in the middle of the table, they're going to need to be broken out at some point. No attempts to pot there, just maintaining safety from Eddie. So still open table. Happy enough to take the red balls because they're the ones on the outside of this pack, so they're going to be the easier ones to get out, but it's still not that straightforward because even if you were to pluck some of the reds out, the black's still right in the middle of that cluster. Take a little while to resolve this situation. As the lesser opponent, you might be happy just to try and get the balls open and assume they weren't going to clear up. But both of these two are going to be quite mindful that they can't go for anything too reckless. If they were to get the balls open and not pot something, they'd leave an opportunity. So I think they're both going to work on extracting the balls 1 or 2 at a time. Shot from Ben. Useful to cover the pocket, and bonus to additionally have the snooker. Actually, things looking relatively open now. That's not turned out too well from Eddie's point of view. He's opened up the red at the top of the cluster. The one at the back looks like it might go, albeit it's going to be quite hard to get to. So that cluster partially dismantled now.
Next match on table 16, Super Gibbs Nichols, Reese Townsley.
And that's a better shot than it looks. It's very important to get that pocket covered and not have the ball dropped in. Where the red was, it made quite a big pocket. There was a danger that if you just flicked into the red, the yellow would have dropped. So it took some judgment, that one. Be the worst position to play a deliberate foul and just pot the yellow that's over the left-hand corner pocket. Just got to decide where he's going to leave the cue ball. Wants to make sure A, he leaves a shot at the yellow, and B, he doesn't leave an easy shot. So, foul snooker here. Actually quite well thought through from Ben, because normally leaving a foul snooker would be quite problematic, but I think his analysis is that even if Eddie takes the cue ball, as is his right, and puts it in bulk, he still doesn't really have much of a shot at anything. It's not a foul snooker if you pick the cue ball up and put it in bulk, because he will be able to hit both sides of at least one of the yellows. Could elect to play a red instead from where he is, but the options there are pretty limited. He can't see enough of the one over the right-hand corner pocket to pot it and get into the cluster. Could play the red nearest the cue ball, just use it as a way of splitting the cluster up, but you'd be trusting to luck a lot with the position. Yeah, so that is his option. Nominated the red nearest the cue ball, so this will count as a yellow when he hits it. He did the right thing there. He played quite a controlled shot, although you might think blasting into it would have been a good idea to get things really split up. The yellows are actually quite close together at the moment at this end of the table, which makes them a bit easier to deal with. The risk of hitting that any harder would have been that you'd have spread the yellows around the table and then you'd have had further for the cue ball to run. Yeah, just got to judge this cannon carefully. He wants to cannon the red below the black rather than the black itself. The yellow that's touching the red just below the cue ball may well go to the bottom right hand corner pocket, but it clearly doesn't go to the bottom left, so he's either going to need to disturb it or get behind it. This is going to be very tight. I don't think you can see enough of this yellow to get it past the red into the bottom right hand corner pocket. So both players have had a go at using the spider now. tall spider, this one. Some of the metal ones are a little bit lower than this. Means you're coming down at it from quite a height. Pretty good judgment though, I'll settle for that result. Shot there from Eddie, from Ben, I should say. An important shot as well. As long as that yellow was over the pocket, he was in a lot of trouble. Now, that's completely changed the complexion of the frame. Suddenly he's gone from having several balls tied up to all bar one in the open. The only one that's a little difficult is the one that's nearest to the cue ball, although that's not too bad. Absolutely inch perfect. It's the ideal place just to drop this ball into the middle and run the cue ball through slightly. Another quality positional shot. Decent standard of play so far from both players. Well, that's a surprise once you get to the final stages of this particular tournament. No need to get greedy and get too close to this red. Ball's close enough to the pocket that he was happy to leave himself at medium distance. Playing the fire a little bit, got almost close to sneaking himself behind the yellow, but I think he can see enough of the black. So good clearance from Ben Flack, goes ahead for the first time in the match. He now leads Eddie Barker by 3 frames to 2. So Ben Flack to break off in frame 6. The balls are racked a bit better than the last frame, although the outcome's still the same. Dry break, and a dry break with everything split up pretty well. Only one cluster to speak of, the one to the right of the black. Other than that, the yellows pretty accessible spots. At some point he's either going to need to dislodge the yellow that's tied up next to the red, or potentially drop over to the right hand side. Looks like it might go to the left centre, so if he could get over to somewhere near where his left hand is now. So dropping behind was his option. But ideally like this to be pretty straight so he can run the cue ball through. If he's got an angle not to cannon the red at all, that would be absolutely perfect, because then he can run the cue ball through for the choice of the other yellows. That's what he did do. So cue ball back into the middle of the table after this shot. From this angle, but the black does go through into the bottom right hand corner. So not much to choose between the players and the way they've played, and nothing to choose between the players and the scoreline. Eddie Barker 3, Ben Flack 3. So look at our quarter-final lineup for the main tour event this evening. We'll have Carl Sutton against Dale Greenwood, Neil Toms against Mike King, Ben Swinnerton plays Dan Eaton-Lees, and then mouth-watering clash at the bottom, Phil Harrison against the man that we're watching now, Ben Flack. Those matches will be played at 4 o'clock tonight, then the semi-finals at 6 and 8 o'clock before the final starts at 10 o'clock. Eddie Barker not in the tour event, he's already been knocked out, but still got plenty to play for in this Premier League event. He's plotted a red off the break, but has nominated yellows. No choice but to nominate yellows because of the two balls over the pocket, but he has got to pot one. So pretty much a worst case scenario. This is one of the most frustrating things in World Rules Pool, where you go for the colour that you haven't already potted one, open things up and then turn over an open table still to your opponent. Ben Flack with a choice of reds or yellows here. The reds themselves are arguably the easier ball now that Eddie's cleared that corner out. It's only the black that would be difficult if you went for reds. That's probably going to push him towards the yellows. These clearances where none of the shots are difficult as such, but you've got to take the balls in the right order. Some of these yellows at the bottom of the table are blocking each other, particularly the one to the right of the black. The only immediate pocket it has is the bottom left-hand corner, but that's not an option from this position. Ben just taking an extra second to think about this. And he's absolutely right to, because you don't want to just find yourself potting the easy ones and still having a cluster of balls together in the middle of the table. You need to take these in the right order. You'd think the easiest pot would be the straightest plant to the bottom left, but ideally quite like to have removed that yellow that's in the middle of the table. That's why he's had a couple of looks at that. Nothing really to be done there but to go for this. Could elect to cannon the black whilst playing it. Finish up a bit awkward now. This plant, but big distance between the two yellows, which tends to make these shots quite missable. Oh, lovely shot. Made it look easy, but when there's that much distance between the two balls, they're anything but. Still a little bit of work to be done with the cue ball though, because he's going to have to put the yellow that's on the cushion bottom left first. Not going to be able to hold though for the other red that's in the middle of the bottom cushion, so he's going to have to come back for that. Natural angle of the shot is going to be to cannon the yellow to the left of the black. That's not really going to help. In fact, he thought he was going to play the one on the cushion, but he's going to go for the one in the middle of the table first. So it's all about this positional shot. Got to screw the ball down to, well, I would have thought to the left of the black to try and get in between these two yellows. If he feels these balls are both on the cushion and are tight to the cushion, he might decide to play this as a plant and screw down to the right hand side of the black. That would be an easier line to take, certainly. Elected to play them as a plant, and he's put the cue ball in pretty much the perfect position, just off straight. Bit of angle to get out, hold the cue ball for the second of the two yellows. Gonna have to put them both into the same bottom left-hand corner pocket. As perfect as he is on this plant though, these shots are certainly not unmissable when they're going along a cushion. Miss it he has. It felt like Ben was slightly chasing position in that clearance after the first couple of shots. Much easier opportunity this for Eddie, as is so often the case in life. Once you pot a few of the open balls, if you do miss, you turn over a much easier table to your opponent. A lot more room to work with. Making full advantage of that room with a pretty expansive first positional shot. The right shot though, that was the only real way to get good position off that ball. Now he's in pretty much exactly prime position. As long as it doesn't go, wow, too far there. If that white to pull up considerably short of that position. So, opportunity gone begging there. And very relieved Ben Flack rushes back to the table. So just play this ball thin with a bit of left-hand side, just hold the white for the remaining yellow. Can't do much positionally here, it's just going to roll it in and leave a straightish black to the right centre. So it's a frame that could have gone either way, but looks like it's going to be going the way of Ben Flack if he can just hold himself together to roll the straight black in. Hold himself together he does. So good pot in the end from Ben Flack. He now leads by 4 frames to 3. That, I'm afraid, is the end of the commentary for this part of the match, as I've now got to go and play in the challenge event. I'll be back later on with more commentary for some of our later matches. Just a reminder of the schedule for the rest of the day. Quarter-finals at 4, semi-finals at 6 and 8, and the main tour final at 10 o'clock tonight.
challenge on table 2, Mark Shepherd, Mike King. Table 5, Simon Patterson, Steve Oxley. Table 6, Bill Harrison, Gaz Royals. Table 11, Amy Beach and Robert Vaughan. Table 12, Rich Wharton, Ollie Bayer. Table 13, Ashley Hardcastle, Simon Mayland. Table 14, Dannington Lees, Neil Rain. Table 16, Kevin Sutton, Lee Pickard. We're looking for Omi Bay on table 12. Next range on table 12, Paul Carr, James Brennan. Next race on table 3 in the ladies' Premier, Sharon Lunn, Dawn Wright. Next race on table 7 in the challenge, Mark S3, Irene Wood.
Yellow.